Welcome to Podnutz Computer Repair Podcast, episode number 179. I'm your host, Jeff Halash. This is our live call-in show for computer repair techs. The call-in number is 1-888-697-0162. Computer Repair Podcast is brought to you by Pulse Printing and Promotions. Get help with all your print and promotional needs. Go to pulseprintpromo.com. Use the offer code PODNUTS for a 5% discount on every order. All right, let me introduce the co-hosts. We have Marvin Bee from MB Systems. How you doing, Marvin?
Holla.
Good to see you down in the nice state of sunny Florida. And I can see the sun shining through on your scalp there. And,
yep.
Also joining us today, we have Paco Lebron from Prodigy Techs. How you doing, Paco?
Fantastic. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Glad to be here. I think this is going to be a very interesting show. Well, interesting for me anyways. For the rest of you, if it is, great. If it ain't, great. It doesn't matter. No, I think it's going to be fun. We're going to have a lot of cool things to talk about. But let me go ahead and start off with a little advertisement for a show that is coming up for all of us, and it's called the Toronto On Convention, July 22nd to the 24th, 2016. And I want to give you guys a layout of what is coming up in that. One of the sessions we're going to do is, why are you an entrepreneur? Why do you want to own your own business? Those types of things. We have a great panel to talk to you about that. Another session is going to be everything you need to know about selling your business services. We all could use help in learning how to sell our services to our potential customers. We're going to have some great work groups, which I think is a great way to do this. One's going to be on time management, marketing, and pricing are the three work groups we have going on. Also, we're going to have a Sunday, we're going to have some labs going on, hands-on, some networking tools from none other than Marvin Bee, and also improving your web presence by Matthew Rodella. So that's what we've got planned for you. Breakfast, lunch, and snacks will be provided. And I encourage everyone to invest in yourself and your business. I know $200 for a lot of you might seem like a lot of money for a ticket, but this is our first event we're putting together, and basically that is going to pay for the cost to be able to bring us together under one venue and be able to talk about the things we want to talk about. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for people to rub shoulders with each other and learn from each other and be able to have some great discussions that you can walk away with, go home, back to your business, and start implementing some of those practices, some of those things that we do on a day-to-day basis. So I highly, highly encourage everybody to go ahead and get your ticket. There will be a link in the show notes. Like I said, the price is $200. If you use that link, just know that I get a small commission from that. So if you're not comfortable with doing that, you can go straight to itjetpack.com, and there's a link there for the Toronto On Convention. You can buy your tickets straight through there. So yeah, with that being said, I encourage everyone to go, and this is going to be a great time where we can pull our minds together and work on some good things. Marvin, you have anything to say to the Toronto On Conventions coming up?
You are going to want to be there, because you don't want to say that you missed out when you hear some of the great stories. And I think it's going to be great. Basically, this is going to be one of those deals where we're actually going to be able to have time dedicated to sitting and talking with each other. Whereas going to the big conferences, we're trying to squeeze it in between a session or skip a session. But these sessions are going to be designed basically for us, by us, and I think it'll be great.
Awesome. Yeah, great feedback on that, because that's true. It's going to be a more intimate setting, guys, and that's really what we want you to get out of this, is that, again, just that one-on-one where instead of being lost in the crowd, we can actually get together and do some awesome things. Paco, what do you have to say? I know you plan on going, right?
Yes, the plan is for me to go. Yes.
And I'm putting you on the spot, but sorry about that.
No, that's fine. I think the fact that this convention is one of those where, like you said, it's an intimate setting, and any type of conference you normally go to, you go for two things, right? You go to pick other brains of like-minded individuals or those that you aspire to be. and then there's the others of the information you're going to get from the workshops and just the planned agenda as well. So I personally have learned on a combination of both, but it's just good to hear, you know, a lot of those guys that have been in the same type of trenches you've been in, and it just really helps evaluate things on either what to do, or if you're about to do something and heard, hey, this is something you need to look out for. I think it really helps to save you a lot of time hearing those type of stories and just hearing all that experience that comes in one particular area or one room or conference in this case.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, I think, again, it's going to be a great time. So definitely check that out. That'll be in Toronto, Canada. Again, just a quick reminder, if you are driving, you're going to need an enhanced driver's license or a passport. If you are flying in, you will definitely need a passport in order to do that. So make sure that you get all that stuff in order. I believe you still have time to do it. Like I said, July 22nd through the 24th. You've got a few months here. Set yourself up and go ahead and get those tickets ordered so we can get this stuff going.
Yep. For first-time passports, all you need is a birth certificate, copy of your ID or driver's license, and passport pictures, and the money you're going to pay for it. So it's not that hard to get if it's your first time, like myself.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, Marvin, why don't you share one tip or story with us that we could learn from?
Oh, let's see. Tip or story? Which one is going to be the less offensive? So basically, I had a client who I probably only service them once or twice a year. It's a small law office. They don't actually have a server. They have a peer network where they have a machine that's supposed to be a server for their case management billing system, and I think they've got 9 stations. Couple of workgroup printers, but they 2 years ago decided to change phone providers and go with a voice over IP system. I didn't know the company that they chose, some company out of the Midwest, and it seemed to go okay. One of the things that we did was they were going to use basically Polycom phones, the same phones that you'd get from 8x8 or Comcast if you have them, or Vonage. So the phones weren't the big issue, but the company wanted to make them change their entire infrastructure, buy the router from them, buy the switch from them, do all of this stuff. And luckily they called me just to double check what they were getting. And I told them, I said, do not let them purchase, or do not let them make you purchase their equipment for your local network. They can supply the phones. If they need to supply a router for their phone system, that's fine, but do not let them talk you into getting rid of your router, your switch, and all of that. And the reason this company wanted to do that is, like most companies, they want to be able to control the environment so that if the customer ever complains about the phone system, it won't be the finger pointing of it's the switch, it's the router, it's this or that. But I told them, I said, this is your network. All they're adding to it is phones. So we actually purchased a PoE switch for them because I wanted to make sure that if there was any other issues on the network, we had access to that switch. And they've got their routers and all of that stuff. So for 2 years they had this company. They hated them because basically the company lied, and instead of saving them money, they basically doubled their bill.
Oh.
So, which,
Wow.
That's not what VoIP is supposed to do, right? You're supposed to save money.
Right.
So they bump the company. Comcast comes in, says, we'll take care of you, save everything. So I'm not involved in that process either, except for the fact that they want me there the day of the installation just in case something goes wrong. Of course, something went wrong. The company came in and literally brought in the same exact phones to replace the other company's system. No big deal, right? Old phones, new phones, exactly the same. The only thing that changed was their phone's router, switch, or whatever, their little phone server that they have in the phone room. Switched it out. The guys are testing everything, and as they go to transfer a call, entire network goes dead. All the phones shut off. The PoE switch cuts out. they lose their computer connections. And the guy immediately is like, "Oh, something's wrong with your network." And I had to say, "You idiot. Here are the boxes. Pull out this is the old phone. This is your phone. Nothing else has changed. So don't try that on me." "Oh, well, your PoE switch is faulty."
Oh, wow. Okay.
"Really? You want to try that one on me?"
Pull out the big boy.
Pull out the fluke, plug it in. Here's all your voltages and all of that. So bottom line is, he had to leave with his tail tucked between his legs. They're still working on the problem. We don't know what the issue is, but the company can't transfer calls when they come in. It is absolutely mind-boggling.
Wow.
So I may take another PoE switch up there just to say that we did it.
Sure.
But it was just something where if I hadn't been there, to help the customer, they would have just been, beside themselves trying to figure out what's wrong. I mean, there's no way a new company should come in, replace the exact same equipment, and then blame the customer for something not working when nothing else was changed. It's the same equipment that had worked for 2 years previous. And it's a little interesting story. No real nuggets to give out of that, except for that was my fun day.
Well, let me ask you a question. Now, the PoE switch, what is the point of using a power over Ethernet switch in that particular case?
In that particular case, it's because sometimes there's not a power source near where they're plugging in the phone.
Okay.
So, a lot of those phones either require power from a, brick adapter, or they can get it over the switch, the power over Ethernet switch.
Okay. So that is basically powering over the Ethernet. It's giving power to the phone plus the connection, the data connection for the phone.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha. I just wanted to clarify because I really wasn't sure, to be honest with you. So
yeah, I mean, there's other things you can do with it. They can use the switch a lot of times as a way to program the VLANs. A lot of times companies will program the phones to be on one network, the computers to be on another network, and then that's probably why they wanted access to the switch, although this new company didn't care. So I know that they're not doing that. But there's a lot of other things you can do. You can, disable power to certain ports if, if you've got to deal with an overage, say, you've got phones that require more voltage, that you've got different model phones, and one phone may require a different level. So inside the switch, you can raise the level that, that phone gets by power. You can lower the power to the other phones. There's a lot of stuff you can do with that.
Okay. Very cool. All right, Paco, what do you got for us?
Tip that I have is sell benefits, not services. As everyone knows from listening to my previous episode on my podcast, I was going to the Small Business Expo in Chicago. That was this past Thursday. A lot of great info, talked about it, and it was really eye-opening on a lot of the stuff that, although simple to think like, oh, I should know that already, it was one of those where, oh, I didn't think of it in that area. So we have all heard about connecting with the customer, not, saying certain terms like managed services and, and all that sort of stuff. But this one workshop that we were in actually spoke about how selling benefits is going to benefit. How about that? Selling benefits is going to benefit you better than selling services. So that's the way you connect with the audience. So we always, as computer business owners, technicians, we always have that issue of how do we connect with the prospect, the end user, on being able to come with us, use our services, etc. And being able to sell benefits rather than services help in that way. So, for example, being able to say, hey, we will make sure that you will not lose your pictures versus, hey, we need to get you on a backup service because your hard drive died. And that sort of stuff. So being able to translate those as more of a benefit to the customer, and especially, and I'm talking more of as a residential aspect because that's what I've decided to concentrate on, can easily flip over and go toward on the business side as well. So that tip really what stuck out with me. There was many others there. They were talking about cash management, being able to figure out 27 ideas that they kind of did a shotgun blast of marketing ideas that you can do. And then one company named BizHive, they actually had spoke about marketing locally, and that was really helpful on getting that. But selling benefits versus services was the big piece, and then that selling is not a dirty word. That really saying, like, for a lot of people, they like to say, oh, we're account reps for the bigger MSPs. We're an account rep. We are customer success reps. You know, they don't say that they're salespeople. In reality, they're salespeople. The shop was essentially saying that's not a dirty word. You should tell them straight out that you're a salespeople, because you're going to get two answers, yes or no. And in the no's, you put those in your marketing funnel and giving them great content, and you don't try and sell them on the same sales funnel that those people that either said yes or maybe, who are potentially going to buy from you. Not only are you staying top of mind for the no's, but 2 years down the line when they do decide to buy, you've already been in that marketing funnel. You're going to get their attention eventually down the line. So there's a lot of stuff that went through, but the biggest piece that stuck out to me was, like I said, that being able to sell benefits is going to help you out down the longer road versus just trying to sell services and hoping it sticks.
Gotcha. No, that's great. Great information there. Very cool. So we all learn something new every day.
Agreed.
All right, my story is probably a little of a controversial story.
Uh-oh.
I've had two computers, two laptops, as a matter of fact, that I went to. Now, everybody's been talking about how Windows 10 all of a sudden downloads to the computer, and the customer turns it on the next day, and Windows 10 just happens to be there when it used to be Windows 7 or Windows 8. And to that I say poppycock, but whatever. So listen, here's what happened. Two different computers. I went to, now this person wanted the Windows 10 download on these particular laptops, two different customers. So I went to the little icon at the bottom, clicked it, said, do you want to install or upgrade now? I said, yes, upgrade now. It goes, it opens up a download page, and the downloader sits and spins there. It spins and spins and spins and spins and spins some more. And it spins for such a long time that the first time I actually had to leave and come back, and it probably spun like that for 7 or 8 hours because I really wasn't paying attention. So by the time I came back, I go, all right, so here is how you can force a Windows 10 upgrade for those of you that actually want to go to Windows 10 and you can't for whatever reason. Basically, all you have to do is go to Microsoft's website and download their media creation tool for Windows 10. When you download that, all you're going to do is start it up, and it's going to go and it's going to download the program. It's going to download Windows 10, which is like 3.6 gigabytes or something like that. Depending on your connection, is how fast you can get it down. Once it's down, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to upgrade now? Do you want to create a ISO that you can use on another computer, or do you want to upgrade this particular computer? You just click on upgrade this computer, go ahead and go through the upgrade process, and it will go into the upgrade process, and what it'll do is it'll come to a point where it says, do you want to keep the programs and files on this particular computer, or do you want to not keep any personal files? And so depending on what the customer wants. Now, just so you know, if you click the one that says don't keep anything, no personal files or anything like that, what it's basically going to do is it's basically going to do a fresh install of Windows 10. So if you use the other one, it's going to be more of an upgrade. And this is what I've always said from the beginning, is that if you have a fairly clean system and you want to do the Windows 10 upgrade, most of the time it'll work. But if you have a system that's bogged down with malware, viruses, just cruddy pieces of software, a lot of times it's going to end up breaking things. So this is definitely one way that if you want to do a clean install on a machine, you can get the Windows 10 and go ahead and do that clean install. So anyways, that is how to force it so you can get Windows 10 on your PC.
Now, one note and I learned this the hard way, is if you do select do not keep anything, if you're doing this remotely, it will remove your your remote support application you're using to remote in to do this upgrade. So yeah, so it's one of those where I've been doing it so many times in-house that I did it one time remotely, never came back, and I'm thinking to myself, well, why didn't it get back? And then they were like, oh yeah, the prompt's still up there. And yeah, I learned that I ended up clicking do not keep anything. And so,
and a caveat to that too is a lot of times, even if you do keep the software, a lot of times some of the remote support software will not, for whatever reason, and sometimes it'll work, sometimes it doesn't. Basically, there's just something that switches, and you might have to do a reinstall of that software anyway. So
Right.
it's really a 50-50 shot of whether it's going to work or not when you're doing it remotely. So, yeah, and as a matter of fact, I have to do one remotely all the way down to the great state of Florida here pretty soon, but we'll see how that goes. All right. Let's see, where are we at here? All right, let's go ahead and go into our emails. All right. This is from David Molnar via Facebook, one of the groups I'm a part of. Curious if anyone has found a way to target business owners on Facebook through Facebook ads. Any tips? He says, I am testing a few ad options promoting managed support. I made my budget $50 a day, but since the amount of people is 500 locally, my budget will never be used up. So I may end up spending $2 a day or so. Is anyone actually gone through and done anything with Facebook ads? I think you have, haven't you, Paco?
Yeah, I have. I've done it more for blog posts because I haven't seen a way to crack the egg on services for Facebook ads. Not to say that nobody has been successful doing it. I've only seen computer shops either who are actual shops that are selling equipment or are able to kind of spread the word on what their business is doing, and that's kind of the route that we kind of ended up taking. We ended up writing up a couple blogs, and and it's anywhere from the good headlines to making sure you have good content. Like our most recent one we had was, how do I stop my computer from getting infected? That controversial topic, and everyone asking what's the silver bullet, and essentially I go through and say there isn't a silver bullet, but here are some items that you can do to essentially help you as best as possible. Wrote that on my website, put it as a blog, ended up putting the blog as a post, the URL to that blog, and then I think my threshold was like $25 within X amount of days, and we got a lot of great traffic to it, and then through there we had other people kind of going around our site, and we actually had a couple calls on certain computer issues that they were having. That's the only way I've been able to crack it. I haven't gone into it too much because I've been working more on the Google AdWords and the Bing ads. That's where a lot of my paid advertisement has been coming in. Yelp has actually been helping us out with more of our organic stuff because we're not on the ad platform from there, but a lot of our downtown clients tend to find us through Yelp.
Okay. Great. And Marvin, I know you don't do any type of advertising, so it's a moot point to ask you the question.
That's why I'm looking forward to the Toronto Unconvention, so I can sit in that marketing session and learn what it is you guys do.
If anybody out there actually has had good success in your computer repair shop, or whether you work out of your home or a shop or whatever, if you've used Facebook ads and you have a formula that works, go ahead and send us an email and let us know what that formula is, and we can pass the information out to other people, because I really don't know. It's not something I use Google AdWords, and that's what I've been using for a long time. Just go back real quick. Somebody had mentioned about the Never 10 program from Steve Gibson for Windows 10. If you don't want Windows 10 to download in the background or update, now I will say they said, I think it was DedSec, he said Windows 10 will auto download in the background. I've found this about 50% of the time. Most of the time when I'm doing a Windows 10 upgrade, I actually have to download the bits. They're not even there. Now the other half of the time they are there. They're just auto. So I don't know what makes that change where some are and some aren't. But yeah, the Windows Never 10. If you don't want to ever upgrade to Windows 10, then this will actually stop the prompt, and it will also be able to get rid of I think it's 3.6 gigs is what's downloaded, and when it extracts itself, it's like 5 gigs or something like that. So anyways, his program will actually wipe out those 5 gigs and give you some more needed space if you need that on your computer also. So definitely check that out over at, I believe it's grc.com. All right, so let's see. Second email. Question for the show. This is from our good friend Jorge Hernandez. Says, hi, Jeff. Quick question for the Podnutz community. I need to monitor the AC temperature in our computer room so that if the temperature reaches a high level, let's say 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I want to be alerted, email or text. I have a temperature logger, but it only records readings every 5 minutes, which I then can analyze at a later time. It does not allow to configure alerts. He says, if the Fluke does this job, I'll buy it. Thanks, Jorge Hernandez. Thank you, Jorge. Appreciate the email there. Does anybody here or anybody in the audience actually have, I'm sure there's something out there that's created to basically check your temperatures in a server room so that and be able to get alerts, I would imagine.
Sure, Fluke has something for that, but the Flukes that we're talking about do not. But Fluke does have, I mean, they're all about testing and temperature and electrical and all that stuff. What I have always done, because I've never actually looked for an actual device, but inside a lot of our NAS devices will be an alerting feature that in some servers that if the drives get too hot, you'll get an email alert sent to you or a text, depending on what it is. I know Netgear has it. I'm not sure about the Synologies because I don't use those a lot. But I know that for sure I had a server room where I had a Netgear NAS, and I activate all the alerts. And so I would get an alert anytime the room would get too hot, and that's how we knew that we had an issue with the AC in that room. That basically it would be running, but it would just get freakishly hot in there. So
okay.
I know that's a cheap way if you've got NASs in that room, just to use the alerting features inside that, as opposed to room thermometers. I don't know if I have any knowledge of ones that will send out that alert.
Okay. No, I think that's a great way to try to alleviate the problem. And yeah, probably inexpensively, and if it's already there and you've got access to that, that's something you can definitely do. I don't know of anything offhand. Paco, I'd ask you, but you probably don't know either.
I would say a shot in the dark. There's probably either a Nest device or somehow I know that DedSec is talking about hooking up a Raspberry Pi and setting it up on your own. He posts a link in the forum post on Instructables, so that may be one route to go as well.
Okay. I will definitely copy and paste that into the show notes. So, yeah, as far as the AC, I was just thinking about it because I just ordered this is a side note, but I just ordered a Ring doorbell for my front door. And the reason being is because it's one of those things where me sitting up in my office, people come to the door, and, I mean, even though it's by appointment, people never show up exactly when they say they're going to show up, right?
Right.
So I'm sitting there, I might be in the middle of playing a game, and I got my big headphones on, and I can't hear, and I'm shooting away and doing whatever I got to do, and all of a sudden somebody will come to the door. I can't hear the doorbell, and so my wife rushes in and goes, "Your customer's here." No, she doesn't say it like that, but no, she'll let me know, and I'm like going, I wish there was a way that I could actually be notified of a customer at the front door. Well, what's nice about Ring is that the Ring doorbell is that you can see them as they approach, and it'll actually pop up in an app on your phone. So you can see the person, you can know who it is, you can, kind of get ready before, maybe even get to the door before they even realize that you're ready for them. So, and because I work out of my home and people do actually come here, it's one of the things that I wanted to do it a long time ago, and I was going to use a cheaper doorbell that had a little chime sensor you could put around the house. It was wireless and all that kind of stuff, and I said, So, anyways, that's my new toy that I'll hopefully get by the beginning of next month. Because, of course, I couldn't order the regular one. I had to order the Pro, which is, pre-order. So, but anyways, that's just me. All right, third email. Okay, this is from, and I'm not going to read this whole thing, and I'm not really sure how to get this information out. This is from Jason C., and he says, hey, Jeff, longtime listener to your show. Just wanted to give you a few tips to use with Easy Boot so that you and other techs that listen to your show can get better usage out of Easy Boot. Sorry for the long email, but I figured I would send you the info so other techs can use Easy to Boot. And that's his name is or his chat name I think is Phoenix. He goes by. Yeah, if you need more security on your easy to boot drive, you can now use KeyFile with easy to boot to load up your drive instead of using a password. And he goes through a whole thing on here, has the information. There's a couple other links I'll add in the show notes. You can encrypt the files. There's also a way to compress the files. So it looks like there's a lot of things. Now I used easy to boot a handful of times, had set it up, and personally it just didn't work for the way that I operate. So be that as it may, now other people they love easy to boot, and there's definitely a lot of things you can do with it. But this brought up another subject that I was thinking about that I've been hearing in the forums and Facebook groups and different groups that I'm a part of. That is, and this is so rough anymore, anytime you're doing a Windows 7 reinstall, it takes like overnight to get the download or to get the updates to not only download but install. And I know a lot of people out there are going to go, oh, use WSUS. Done that same amount of time. Doesn't matter. Yeah, I've already pre-downloaded all that stuff. And it seems like it takes Windows 7. I can't figure this out, and nobody else in the community thus far can figure it out either. Why does it take Windows 7 so long to update anymore? Do they really want us to move to Windows 10? Is that it? Are they forcing our hand? And I've heard other techs out there have said, oh, we can do a nuke and pave in 30 minutes. And to that I say, really? A nuke and pave with updates, making sure all the regular, Java or whatever a customer may need, those types of things. You can get that done in 30 minutes? Because I remember back in the day, what I used to do is I would not use the recovery software on the said computer. If it is an OEM, Dell, HP, or whatever. What I would do is I would use a vanilla copy of, well, back then it was Windows XP. And, of course, I slipstreamed the disk, had, Service Pack 3, all the updates and all that kind of stuff. And I would keep up with it over time so I could just throw the disk in, and I would throw all that stuff on there. And I may have had to add, one or two drivers, but most of them would be there for that system. Well, nowadays I got to the point where I use the recovery partition on the particular hard drive, as long as it's a good hard drive, and it's something else to try to upgrade this system. One of the things I'm really liking about Windows 10 is Windows 10, it downloads the updates as you're installing it, and it's so fast, it's unbelievable. So night and day difference definitely from there. So. You guys have anything for that? And appreciate the Phoenix. Thank you for the email. Appreciate that. Definitely we'll get those links and stuff in the show notes. But you guys got anything on the Windows 7? Marvin, what do you do? I mean, you probably got images for your businesses, right?
Yeah, and that's what I do is I keep the image updated. Basically, the weekend after Patch Tuesday, I'll throw an image into a system and update it. But I to be honest, I don't really do scratch installations very much. That I just haven't worried about it.
Okay.
I will. I mean, yeah, it takes. I mean, it's 2 to 3 hours to do an install on my HP systems because you do the update. I mean, you do the install and then you got to update. And it's just what it is. The only thing I can say is just don't do it at a place with a slow internet connection. But once I mean, now because I've got businesses and I use pretty much the same machine for all of them, I've only got 2 or 3 image disks that I have to worry about. So right now I've just got one that's the one I'm updating every month, and you still have to do updates after that even because if the images are like I don't pre-install Office,
right?
Because some customers don't need Office. So what happens is I'll do the image, get it set up, install Office, and then there's immediately updates that have to be done with that. So I just do the base image and keep that updated.
And I've heard a couple other people that have done. They basically have ISOs that they keep on a network server and use the Pixie boot to basically reinstall these systems when they have customers coming in, and that's fine. my contention is it still takes time to put that stuff together. And as a mostly residential tech, a lot of the stuff that's coming in is going to be different. And I don't know how important it is to keep the Acer stuff on there, or the Dell, or the HP. Some customers may care, some may not. I don't know, as far as like the webcam software. So I still think there's a lot of stuff that you have to do after the fact that is still going to take time one way or the other. So I'm trying to figure out if there's a dead easy way for you to go in and create an image and to be able to keep up with that image and to be able to use it across multiple platforms. I'm all for that. I have not seen a way, and part of it is I really haven't taken the time to look deep into it. I know there's a lot of other shops that actually, they do this stuff all the time, but again, they're usually not one-person shops. they have people that do that inside the shop, so that's a little bit different.
Now that you're saying it, you actually just brought to mind. There's a company out there that advertises that they do this for a living, where they keep all these images up to date, and I can't think of the name right now. I think it's Cyberspa, if I'm not mistaken. And they were doing a big webinar with Acrobo a while back, and I know that they were saying that, like, for I don't know how much money per license, which it's not a Windows license, but a license for their image. Essentially, they update those ISOs every month with all the up-to-date updates. And I think it goes as back as, I think, 7, all the way down to whatever's the newest one from when I last looked into them a couple months ago. And I know that once you pay for that license, it's fully updated, you load it, you don't have to worry about that. So I guess for those who are just single techs like us, who, I think it was like $25 at the time back then. So essentially, depending on what you're charging an hour, if it's an hourly job or a flat rate, if you can work that into your fee or raise your fee to work that in, might be something that may be time saving and put you to have a little bit more profit in the pocket.
Right. Well, it basically comes down to a time thing. I'm very, when I think about even when a customer brings a computer in and we're talking about doing an image, and I do a thorough hardware test on the machine, and just to save the customer any headache and save myself any headache, that I hand them back a machine that I didn't check all the hardware on, and they've got other problems that maybe caused whatever software problem they had, even if it was a failed hard drive. Maybe there's a bad memory stick or whatever. So there's still, I still think there's time in doing each of these steps in the process in order to make sure that the customer has the best, computer when they get it back and it's all ready to go. And that's what I promote to a lot of people. You don't have to do anything. If you're going to open a PDF, you're already going to have a PDF reader on there. If you're going to, play your little game on, whatever browser, you're going to have Java installed. All these things are already done, and I'm sure I know there's ways to slipstream them. Again, it's just one of those things I have not looked into deeply. Right. And if anybody's got that information, and Paco, if you can find the link for that company, we'll definitely add that in the show notes.
I'll find it and give it to you. But like you said,
it's Cyberspa Fresh Start is what you're talking about.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
You can actually buy their kits on Amazon. They average about $100 to do their kits off Amazon.
Okay.
And I don't know. I don't have anything to add. I found it for you. That's all.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think if you sign up as a reseller, I think you can get that down. I'm not sure as far as what it is, but essentially, it's just, for those who have time to do it, there's plenty of free tools out there. There's easy to do backup. There's to create images. There's Macrium, Reflect free. Who don't want to spend, but if you're essentially trying to not spend the time, like me and you, Jeff, we've talked about that, where we're only working part-time on the business, so we don't have a lot of time to work in. We don't have much time to be business operators rather than us trying to be business owners. Right. So, as much time we can save as possible is going to look forward to it. So if there's something that we don't have resources for people to do it for us, this may be an avenue for someone who may want to take advantage of that, if it just means it's a matter of money versus time.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So again, I'd love to learn how to do all this stuff, but going back to, it's funny because I do use Linux every once in a while, usually for recovering files. So
I didn't know today was April 1st. Oh, you're serious?
So anyway, so I just upgraded from the Ubuntu 14.04 to Ubuntu 16.04.
Oh.
And the reason I did that is because I was trying to get Steam to work on that particular machine, and it wouldn't for some reason. It was missing some sort of file structure or something. I don't know. Anyways, I called out to the experts, and they were like, well, 16.04 is going to go into, there's going to be long-term where they basically take care of you long-term. I can't remember how many years that is, but whatever. Anyway, so, I loaded that up, and I tried to load Steam again, and I'm a smart guy. I'll just say that. I am a very smart guy. It's been difficult. I'll just put it to you that way. So again, I would love to mess around with this stuff if I possibly could. It's just it goes back into the time.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're at. But
So Jeff, if you go to the Toronto Wine Convention, there's going to be a session on time management.
yes, that's true, and I actually need that. Actually, what I need is more downtime so I can play my video games. Is really what I'm looking for.
So what you're saying is you need some more work-life balance.
Yes. It's fun to run through the desert in my Magnus Opus and just crashing into other cars and harpooning them and anyways. Side note. That's what I was doing all afternoon. So that's why I'm kind of psyched. I had a good time. Anyways, all right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll get into our subject here in a minute. All right, our show today is brought to you by Pulse Printing and Promotions. Get help with all your print and promotional needs. Business cards, postcards, stickers, mouse pads, fridge, and car magnets. Shirts, pens, and so much more. You can see some of the most popular items online, and new items are being added all the time. If you need something that is not listed, just ask. Make sure you use the promo code Podnutz for 5% off every order. It never expires. You can also sign up for the newsletter to receive monthly specials. And we're coming down to the close of this, so if you guys sign up for the newsletter now, you'll be entered to win 500 business cards. So sign up for the newsletter, take your chance, see if you can win 500 business cards. Darren over at Pulse Printing and Promotions designed and printed my business cards, and I couldn't be happier. They're great. Nice, colorful cards, has my winning smile on it, and all my information, so my customers can actually get a hold of me. So I really like them. Go to pulseprintpromo.com and use the offer code Podnutz. And here in the next couple weeks, we'll be announcing the other winner of the 500 business cards. Our first winner was Randy Smith from Tech Guy 911. All right, let's go into our main subject. We've taken so long with all these other subjects, it's just I'm kind of done now. No. The subject for today is brand loyalty. The other thing that I've seen in a lot of these forums and people that get together and chat online, and which, quite honestly, I don't know how you all had that much time, especially when you're running successful businesses, but whatever, that's another side issue. Brand loyalty. And what I mean by that is a lot of us use things and we are brand loyal to that brand, whether it be an antivirus, whether it be a backup solution, whether it be an OEM vendor, whether it be a distribution center, or whatever. There's a lot of things that we use, and what I see a common theme for a lot of people is they will say things like, if you mention like Carbonite. Carbonite's a perfect one. You mention Carbonite, that you use Carbonite, they're like, oh, Carbonite sucks, why do you use that? Yeah, and it's probably how you sound because, yeah. Anyways, not to be rude, but here's the thing. I look at things that I use on a daily basis that work for me in the way my brain works, and also the way that I can be the most efficient with the way that I do things. So with that being said, there are certain things out there that I use that work for me. Now, they might not work for everybody, and I've said that from the beginning. Use the tools that work for you. But let's not sit there and go, well, in a lot of us, hey, we've had bad experiences with this company or that company, whatever. So what I'm encouraging people, and I'm going to let you guys chime in here in a minute because we're going to talk about one in particular, but what I'm encouraging everybody to do is, if somebody says, hey, I'm thinking about using this product, instead of just going, don't use that product, it sucks. Don't do that. Just kind of go, you know what? here's why I didn't like that product when I was using it. Here's the things that it basically did for me, and here's the things maybe it didn't do the way I wanted to do it. So here's the solution that I found, and here's the company that I use because this works much better for me. That way, at least you're laying out the pros and the cons, and you actually have good, valuable information to pass on to your peers to help everybody out. Because this sucks doesn't tell me anything, doesn't help me at all. I don't understand what that means. One of the big ones is antivirus. A lot of people will say, antivirus, you got to have this antivirus, and these other ones are horrible, and let's look at AV comparatives, and AV comparatives this month said this one's top notch, and blah 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 blah. And I've done several real world tests, and what I mean by real world is, yes, these companies, AV comparatives and whatnot, will bring in the product and they test and they throw things at it. But what I mean from a real world test is actually using an environment that people use like for real. Not just throwing a bunch of stuff at it, because any test I can throw a bunch of things at it. Some are going to catch some things, some aren't, so on and so forth. And it's going to change from month to month. I had a couple situations where I had a bench computer and I was using, at the time, Microsoft Security Essentials on it. Okay? I got railed by a couple of other technicians out there that basically said, well, you really should be up in your game. You really should have something a little bit better than Microsoft Security Essentials. Or actually, they didn't say a little bit better, a lot better. I said, okay, all right, no problem. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a test. Now I run all kinds of hard drives through this computer. I back up people's data, that infected data, all the time. Okay. So I said, okay, let me test it out, because I see what Microsoft Security Essentials catches and whatnot. And so I uninstalled Microsoft Security Essentials. I downloaded ESET, not 32, which has been one of my favorites overall of all time. As far as ease of use, as far as light on the system, the problem is they're a tad bit pricey, but they've always been good, and I've used them several times over the years. So I've downloaded ESET, not 32, put it on the computer, ran a full scan over all the files and everything that were there. And would you know? Didn't find anything. So to that I go, okay, so apparently whatever I'm doing is actually working on this system just fine. And that'll give you another scenario. And this, again, this is not to badmouth any one company or anything like that. I mean, things are going to happen to everybody. There's two types of people. There's people that have been infected, and there's people that haven't been infected yet. So those are the only two types. Everybody gets infected at some point, okay, for the most part, unless they're really not doing anything. Now, I had Windows Defender, Microsoft Security Essentials on my children's computers for years, okay? No viruses, no malware, nothing. So I put a certain antivirus on there, and monitoring software and all this kind of good stuff and everything. It's cool, all right? And my one kid downloading files from a Minecraft server to mod his Minecraft game basically got a bunch of malware on there. Now, the antivirus did catch the malware for the most part and eliminated it, except for a few pieces of cruft that it left behind. And I had to go in and manually clean up that cruft that was left behind, of which I've never had to do with Microsoft Security Essentials or Windows Defender. And I've ran all kinds of cleanups on their computers, and they were doing the same types of things that they're doing now, playing games, different things, all that kind of stuff, going to websites that, they sometimes can be infected. And so I looked at it as another real-world test. Okay, I understand there are better things. There are antiviruses that run light on the system. There are antiviruses that will have no false positives. There are antiviruses that are, in my opinion, a little overly aggressive with their firewalls and all that kind of stuff, and they can make the customer interaction a nightmare. So there's many different things to look at when you're looking at things like antivirus or backup or things like that. All right, Paco, what do you got to say? My whole rant.
No. I agree with you 100%. And one scenario, and the same high-tech monitoring antivirus software I put on my machine, and hey, great, peace of mind. I forgot what I had before. I think I had I can't think of F-Secure. I had F-Secure before,
Okay.
and I wanted to try out, and I never had any problems with F-Secure, and I tried out this new solution and their managed antivirus that they're raving about that's gotten better, and it never really found anything when I will, and this is my bench machine, so I plug in hard drives all the time from customers recovering data through with my data recovery software, etc. Nothing. So when I decided that it's a little too quiet, and normally when a little too quiet, I tend to get paranoid. So I ended up going with another solution, and when I flipped that one on, and it just worked out for how we wanted it, that endpoint solution. That thing started picking up more things on the same drive. Mind you, the data set that was on the actual data drives, there was nothing different, and it all started picking up random malware and just like backup folders that I've had of clients that I just recently pulled data off of, and it started finding things. So I said, okay, maybe it's a fluke, because maybe now all of a sudden I'm starting to get some malware from these sources, right? I uninstall it. I plug in the so-called managed antivirus that I had before. I copy the same set of data back on it. Nothing. I uninstall it. I put the program that I'm using. So anybody who's heard me, I've used AVAS as my endpoint security software. Put that on. Started grabbing it like if it was like red hot. And I loved the way the notifications kept going on to look at the virus chest and see everything that's going on. Now, granted, it's a little aggressive, like you said. There are some that are very aggressive, and you got the ability to put exclusions. But I've seen such a better output from here than the other managed antivirus that was included with this monitoring software.
Okay. Marvin, what's your take on antivirus?
My discussion of antivirus is pretty much handled the same way that I handle politics. I don't talk about it. And here's why.
It's always changing.
Depending on what month, of what
Right.
year, of what test, you're going to get different results.
Exactly.
Yep.
So the bottom line is, when it comes to brand loyalty with things like antivirus or any other piece of software or equipment that we use, basically you need to find what works best for you in your situation. And if you're talking about personal issues, then just keep it personal. But if you're talking about what works best for our clients, I think that that's a whole different ballgame. Because I'll be honest, I do use products at my clients' offices that I don't use myself. Sometimes it's simply a matter of that's what's best for them, and they can afford to pay for something that I cannot. Or it's because even though I may not like it, it's best for them, or it's supported by one of their vendors or somebody else that's doing something on their network, and I need to adhere to their situation. So I'll be honest with you, this is going to be a debate that will continue on and on and on. And I don't know that there's necessarily one right or wrong answer. Pretty much they're all going to leapfrog each other at some point, and for 13 days out of this month, AVG is going to be better. For the other, another 10 days, it'll be F-Secure, it'll be Semantic, it'll be whatever. They're all going to have their goods and their bads. You've just got to find what works best for you. One of the reasons I pick a particular software is because of the way that I can deploy it out to my customers, and I can set it up to alert me. Because a lot of the products don't alert anybody except for the person sitting in front of the computer. And I'll be honest, for my business customers, that's not good enough for me. So I've got some software set up to where if they get infected or they get a pop-up, or even if they place something into quarantine, I get some sort of alert to let me know that, hey, this action happened on that station. So even if I have to go in after the fact, and a lot of times I do, because I'll call up a customer and I'll be like, hey, what just happened to your computer? Nothing. I'll be like, did you get a little pop-up? What kind of pop-up? One that said, you're infected, either protect me or, oh, yeah, I saw that.
Mm.
And I hit next.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a big deal. So that's the type of stuff where, for my business customers, because a lot of times, let's use the perfect example we all love for the last year, crypto locker, crypto wall.
Mm.
Those are the infections that can get in, and it looks like it's clean, but it is still on its way to infecting and encrypting files on shared drives, network drives, servers. And I don't care if the customer thinks that they're clean. I've got to be the one that goes in after the fact and proves to the boss, okay, I got you covered. And,
Right.
So that's how I look for stuff, is what's going to be best for the situation, not what's best in terms of whether I like it or not.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say to that too is what I see a lot of times is people will, and it's okay to switch up every once in a while and work with some new, I like working with new antiviruses and checking out different backup solutions and trying them and seeing how they work and seeing if it's something that's going to work for me. But I think a lot of times we're going to chase that I need the best. And because of that, we're not really going to get to know the software that we actually are deploying to our customers on an intimate basis where we can actually know how it works, what it can do, and if we have these certain issues, like the firewall being too aggressive, we know exactly what to do. We know how to change it, switch some bits and move along. I think a lot of times that we'll sit there and we don't really learn our products. We just kind of follow the masses. Oh, everybody's over here now. Let's go over here. Oh, wait, everybody's over here. Oh, let's go over here. And it's like, no, you know what? Find something. I use Carbonite backup solutions. I've been using them since 2010. I started because there was a promo code I got on some website somewhere, and I put my stuff. Now, I'll be honest with you. Carbonite, through those 5 years, almost 6 years that I was using it, there was some touch and go. I never was afraid of losing my files. I believe they were backed up, and I had recovered files, no problem. But there were some things that when I would go to reinstall my system, I had to upload all my stuff again instead of it checking and going, nope, hey, everything's here. Now we're looking at it 6 years later, and it works so flawlessly well that I actually feel comfortable selling that to my customers because I know it works for me. So again, it's one of those things where eating your own dog food, if you can, and again, if you're deploying different things for different customers, that's fine. But I feel good about it that I can actually give that out to a customer, and I feel that they will be, backed up. Now, here's the other thing too. A lot of people will sell things like cloud-only backup, and in my particular case, I don't even allow that for my customers that I set up. I basically sell them the middle tier where we give them a, passport, Western Digital Passport hard drive that they buy. They plug it in the side of their machine, so they get a local image, and they get the cloud backup, and everything's taken care of. And so out of those three solutions, whether it's on the computer, the passport drive, or the cloud, then they're going to have their files somewhere. And if it's important for people to keep their stuff, that's what you have to do. Because a lot of people say things like, crypto locker. How do I protect myself against that? The reality is I've seen pretty much every antivirus get CryptoLocker get around it, and even some of the best in the market. I've seen it personally, so I'm kind of like, well, really the only way you can do that is by having backup. But anyways, that's another side tangent. So I think you have to be comfortable with what you're going to sell to your customer, or as Paco said, what you're going to benefit your customer with, and know your product inside and out. I think those are the biggest things that let's really look at the pros and cons of the different softwares and things that we use in our business out there, because we want to help other people out, and it doesn't help other people to go, this product sucks, that product sucks. We can go, this didn't work for me in my business because XYZ, and this is what works for me now. But what I've found is the people that are constantly switching, they always find something that's not working for them in their business. Always. I don't know anybody that's gone, yeah, I've been using the same thing for the last 10 years. It's been awesome. You don't hear that. You don't hear that too often. There might be some of you out there, but none that I've heard. So
It's always pain points.
Teacher, call me.
go ahead, Marvin.
I have stuff I've used for multiple years, and let's extrapolate this, not just antivirus, but in all your products. Computers.
Yes.
I will say this. I'm sure I've talked about this before, but I really, don't care what computer people have, because I used to build computers and I know what goes inside them. We all know. We know that they're all pretty much the same, few motherboards, the same few hard drives.
Right.
So we know that. So the name on the outside didn't really matter as much, but to customers, it did. And we're talking back, people love to see the cow box get to their house. Or people love Dell or HP
Right.
or whatever. So I tried to sell all of them in the beginning, and then I had to stop, and I settled on HP. I didn't settle on HP because they were better than the others, although I've had really no issues with HP, but the reason I settled on HP was because I could get product to my customer faster, because when I was a Dell solution provider, well, we're still a Dell solution provider, but it would take me so long to call my rep, see what's available, get the price, submit the quote, get it approved. I didn't need that. I wanted to be able to go to my distributor, see what I have in stock, say that's it, ship it, and most of the time it would be at my customers' doorsteps the next day. So for my business customers, they love that. So when they say to me, why do you like HP? Well, it's not really why I like HP, but it's what HP can do for you. I can get the product to you faster. I've got a support contract with HP that is absolutely fantastic. Now, Dell has them as well, where they will come on site, although Dell's a little bit trickier, I think, in agreeing to come on site. They want to do all the remote troubleshooting first. Sure. But for my servers and for my high-end workstations, we've got an HP Care Pack with a 4-hour, 24/7 response. So within 4 hours of you talking to HP, there's going to be a tech on site with a part to get your problem fixed. My business customers love that. I'm sure the other companies have that, but 15 years ago when I was trying to build my business, I couldn't be searching around for what's the best deal, what's the best price, because that's what we all do. We pick stuff based on how much money can I make off of this product when I sell it to my customer, or how easy is it for me to fix it as opposed to somebody else coming out and fixing it, and I can make more money that way. I got to the point where I said, I'm not going to worry about how much the money is. My business customers will pay for the premium that they're going to get, because and I'll use one of my law companies as an example. They ordered their own computers for a long time, and they would order Dell, and they didn't know when it would ship. It would ship in maybe a day or two, and then it would ship ground. So they may not get the computer for a week. But they were constantly calling me on like a Friday afternoon saying, oh, we got somebody starting Monday. How soon can you get out here? I'm like, well, when's the computer coming? We don't know. We haven't got the shipping notice yet. So I had to convince them, okay, why don't you let me take care of ordering the computers for you? If you give me enough time on a Friday, I can order the computer. It'll be there Monday morning. I can be there Monday to get the person set up. And they were like, you can do that? I'm like, yes, I can. That nice. Customer, they call me to order everything. Printer, toner, maintenance kits, because they know that they don't have to wait. Now, granted, Amazon Prime is screwing up life for all of us, but but they'll still call me. And brand,
those are great points.
So pick your brand for other reasons, than we've talked about here, whether something sucks or not. And it may suck for you this month, but you know what? Next month it might not.
Right.
And it'll flip flop. So computers, routers, switches, everything.
Services. Yeah. No, you make sense, and I agree with you because it's exactly how we started. Started looking for deals. We started looking for being able to make the money on top until finally, and we sold everything: Toshiba, Aces, you name it, whatever. And we finally just bunkered down and said, you know what, we're a Lenovo house. We're going to deal with Lenovo, and like same similar situation. We had one of our law firms call us. They bought equipment from us last year. They were on a 3-year service warranty, and I think the power supply went out. I contacted Lenovo, I think at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 4 o'clock, right as they were going to close, and they showed up next day in the morning with the power supply ready to go to repair it.
And for businesses, that is gold. You
Right.
just can't sell that to a business. I mean, if once they see that, that's what they're going to want.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, that's what they'll expect. So you've got to stay with the products and services that will continue to give you that level of service going forward. And you're not going to get that by just scouring the internet every other day looking for the best deal.
Right, and it helps you out too because now you don't have to cancel what you're doing. You don't have to rearrange a schedule to replace this power supply. You sold them the warranty. That's what was agreed upon. You with the care package, which like you mentioned with HP. Now we can continue our day, and they're going to get taken care of, and you follow up, make sure everything was good to go.
Well, and the other thing too, I think that a lot of people don't really think about is, and yet Marvin, you can answer this: are you going to make a living on resale? Is there really any way to make a living just on reselling product? Because the margins are so tight anymore that you're only making a little bit off of each and every one.
Here's how I've looked at it, and I walked away from the store I was working at 19 years ago.
Whew, you're old.
Not as old as I would normally feel if Chris was here.
That's true.
I mean, it depends. I mean, if you are in a market where, I mean, the store I was at made buttloads of money. And there were other competitors in the area. We were basically a store that, where we bought, sold, and repaired new and used computers. And we probably did. I mean, I don't think that we were the best, but you know what? We were the most consistent at being able to get somebody's computer in and out, within 24 to 48 hours. Other shops, you're waiting a week, maybe 2.
Right.
So that's what made our name. We sold a ton of computers and hardware and parts. I think it can be done if you're in that type of a situation where you've got a store, that you've got a good retail market, you've got a good service repair, department, you've got all. But I think if you're an independent like most of us are, I think it is hard to try to rely on sales as part of what you do. It's just because
right.
you just simply can't stock inventory like a store does.
Right.
You can't carry enough parts in your van, to be ready for each and every scenario. So I think in today's age, I mean, we see brick and mortars going by the side, as it is. Stores that have multi-million dollars worth of inventory that can't keep their doors open. So I think as independents, in terms of selling, I don't think you can bank your business on that anymore. Unless you find a way to, because I just had this discussion with somebody else. We had a big discussion about Office 365 and whether or not you can make a living off of, reselling cloud services. And I think some businesses can do decent at it, but I think most of us get to the point where we realize, listen, making 50 cents or $1 a month, it's just not going to do it. So you've got to be able to bundle as much as you can, and selling parts is not it for us. I mean, I sell a lot of computers, but I've got the business customer support that for guys like you guys that if you're dealing with residential or I mean, how many computers can you sell in a day?
Yeah,
right.
And not only that, I don't even want to deal with that because again, the margins are so low. But even things outside of that, like backup solutions, you've got your antivirus, whatever. All these different things. My point is, a lot of us will look for that best deal and try to get the best margin we can, and that's really what we look for instead of looking for, like you said, find out what's going to benefit the customer the most. We're going to make a little bit. What we're going to sell them on is our services and servicing them using these different tools. And so it's just a mind shift,
right?
That people have to come to the conclusion that what is the point of if your point is to just make as much money as you possibly can off every little thing, that's fine. But I don't know how how long you can sustain that versus getting somebody that's a loyal customer, kind of like the customers you have, Marvin. They go to you because they trust you.
Well, yeah, and I wish I got to find that book. There was a book that I read, and it was basically on you've got to start looking at clients. Do you want them to be a customer for that one time or that short time, or do you want them to be a client? Meaning they're with you for the long haul.
What you're talking about.
And it's, what is the value of a customer versus the value of a client?
Right.
And if it means that you've got to take a little bit less margin, but you're going to get somebody over 10, 15, 20 years, that value is going to far outweigh all these little, margins. Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Client once, client forever. Actually, there's another one too. I took them from both books, but that's a very good book on. There are times where I will literally eat the cost of a sale just to keep my customer happy or my client,
right.
Because I know that, fine, I'm not going to make any money on this one, but if they call me every week, I'm going to make money next week. I'm going to make money next month.
Yep.
And, it's actually funny. I got a customer who I just got a little heads up on Friday because I sent over some invoices, and the office manager made a note to write me back saying, "Hey, let me remind me that we need to talk about this." And I was like, "Oh, what?" I said, "About this invoice in particular, or all my invoicing?" And he goes, "No, don't." And basically, what it was is the managing partner at the firm asked the person that writes the checks, "Hey, are you scrutinizing our invoices?" And customers do this all the time. Business customers, every now and then, have got to stop and say, "Hey, are we paying attention to what we're spending our money on?" And they're going to look at invoices. And she actually told him, she goes, "Well, I do most, except for Marvin's. I have no idea what he's, She goes, I trust him."
Right.
And it was one of those things where she's like, "I guess I probably need to read those." And so they wanted to let me know that, hey, we'll look at them. And I said, "Well, do I need to be worried?" He goes, "Probably not."
Gotcha.
But they're at the point. I mean, the fact that she said, I don't check his invoices. I trust him."
Right.
That's worth more than me than making a few extra bucks.
Right. And especially for like me, a part-time tech, it's stressful to try and come up with the bottom dollar to get the best deal. Because you're gonna not the best deal as far as for us to try and figure out how we're gonna make a couple bucks on the situation. And you said it best. As long as you're consistent, as long as you provide the value, you're gonna transform that customer to a client. And even if, let's say, that client doesn't come to you for another year, 2 years, because of how well you had that experience, and I've eaten my fair share of cost and refunded jobs that I felt didn't go the right way. I mean, I just refunded a job this week where it was water damage. We tried to put it together. We ended up replacing, I think it was the daughter board and a couple other things, scrubbed it out with the alcohol, and the Wi-Fi card was shorting the board. I mean, it got to the point where it was like either spend the money on the motherboard or tell them that, hey, look, you know what? The job didn't go like how we expected. I don't suggest you paying the extra $300 for this motherboard. I'd rather refund you the money. You get to go ahead and get an actual one equivalent or one nicer, and you can come to us to transfer the data, or while it's on, transfer the data over and call it a day. I mean, it's one of those where as long as you're consistent, you provide the value, you're going to end up getting that clientele and word of mouth referrals coming in to make up for what you've given out.
Yep, I agree. Everything that's been said here, and I guess that's what it comes down to is just being, like Paco was saying, having a consistency with the brands and things that we use. Just understand not only what you're servicing your customers with and what you're providing them. Provide them something with value, even if you're not making the most money. And that's really what it comes down to. When you take care of the customers will eventually take care of you, either by word of mouth or just coming back to you for every time something happens to their machines. And I know there was other things that were going on in the forums where people were talking about, I'm really trying to get as much money as I possibly can, and I'm trying to figure out how to ways to make more money. And it's like, you know what? I don't really look at it that way. Provide value for your customer, and it will come back.
Yeah, I mean, especially like with everything that's going on now, and this is something that I'm going to start working on is if you know it, one, you have to know how long it's going to take you to do particular jobs. And I'm not talking about how long does it take to do a virus removal, how long does it take for me to do a keyboard replacement. I mean, figure out your entire process. Hey, for a motherboard replacement or keyboard replacement, it's going to take me 1 to 2 days for the diagnostic. It's going to take me probably 3 to 5 days to order it from the part from a vendor if it's not the distributor that I trust that can get it to me overnight, or find someone that can get it to you overnight to shorten that time. And once you get that time frame, once you get the dollar amount that you want to charge for that price, don't deviate from that. I mean, if someone says, no, I need this tomorrow, hey, they're not your customer. Because I honestly believe even if you did add a rush fee to that whole thing, the more you rush on certain jobs, I feel there's more room for error, and the job may not go the way you want it to go. Stick with your time that you're comfortable with. If you're willing to do rush time and rush jobs and push into queue, hey, that's all you. But for me personally, I can go without the stress, so I don't introduce rush fees. I don't tell them it's, hey, this is the time frame, this is how it's going to take. If you don't agree with it, hey, you know what? There's a computer shop right across the street from us. Maybe they may be able to help you out later. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, they come back because their wait time is longer than what I gave them.
That's a funny thing, because that's why I get customers a lot of times. They see that I'm an individual tech, and they'll go, I don't know this guy. I don't know what he does. He's got a nice looking website, and I'm going to take my stuff to him, because the other shops that they've been dealing with, they're a minimum a week out. That's normal.
Yep.
7 days. Some are even longer. And it's like, if I can turn a machine around in 24 to 48 hours, most people are happy.
Yeah, especially for 1 to 2 business days like that.
That's, I mean, in this day and age, I mean, that's not, now there are shops that do it, that they turn and burn real fast. Again, I like to take what? You like that turn and burn? They like to take that. I like to take the extra little care and make sure that everything's done. And I like what you said, Paco, about the stress. Yeah, I don't need it either.
Yeah.
I would take my time to make sure it's done right, so when they get it back in their hands, they're not bringing it back to me. And therefore, I don't get a lot of those, returns, because everything's working fine. When I send my follow-up email 3 months later, they're like, everything's working great, Jeff, thank you.
Yep.
And that's the type of customer I want. So.
Yep. You got too many things going on, especially if you're starting out and you're trying to get to full-time. And for those who are full-time, I mean, again, difference between being a computer business owner to a business operator. You don't need to, there's a lot more things you can stress about than trying to get one computer job, because the customer is going to get angry, and you knew that up front when you took the job.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've covered a lot of, kind of went from the brand loyalty aspect to basically how to run your business, again, which is what we like to talk about. Oh. So anyways, let's see.
So, Jeff, point out to people that I just put in the chat link the book that you held up, that Customer Wants Clients Forever, is one of the books. The other book, the one actually I was referring to, is called Customers for Life by Carl Sewell.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with tech, by the way. This is a guy who was a owner of a car dealership, and basically in the very first part of the book, it talks about what is it that you want to do with your business and how good do you want to be. And basically he talked about the fact that they went through a process of trying to understand how much business a customer would give him by doing a good job. $517,000 is what they looked at for a customer to come back to them to buy their cars year after year whenever they needed a new car purchase. So that's how I started looking at my business customers. If they bought all their computers from me for however many years I worked with them in the business, how much money would that be over 10 years? That's how I did it.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, we'll definitely we'll add all that stuff to the show notes for this episode. Yeah, you know what? And definitely, what do they say? Read to lead or something like that. Definitely read your share books. There's always something new you can learn. And again, I think I got that one book you recommended, Customer Once, Client Forever, off of Amazon for like $3.48.
Nice.
It's a hardcover because it's so old.
Yep. Yeah,
But
you actually have to read it. It's not an audiobook.
Yes, you have to read it. So that's part of my problem. I love audiobooks, but yeah, it's a different story.
Oh, we've just aged ourselves again.
Yes. All right, Paco, if people want to find out more about you and that other podcast that you do, let them know where they can find that at.
Yeah, so everybody can find me over at the Computer Business Podcast. I co-host with Matthew Rodella. We talk about everything computer business, ranging from day-to-days to how to improve your business when it comes to marketing and other areas as well. Or if you want to, you can reach me out there, or you can go ahead and reach me directly on prodigytext.com. We're a local IT company over here in Chicago.
Awesome, man. And Mr. Marvin Bee, where can people find you?
You can find me in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. As Jeff mentioned earlier, the great state of Florida.
Yes, I did say that.
I got a beach. I got a pool. But if you're just looking to just touch base with me, anything tech-wise, go to manandtheman.net. You'll find my email there, my phone number, my Facebook thingy, Google thingy.
The ones he's checking all the time.
Right.
Very cool. I appreciate you guys coming out today. And Chris, unfortunately, was not feeling well today, so hopefully he will be back with us next week. Yeah, hopefully now that this winter weather is gone and it'll start brightening up with sunshine and warmness, hopefully he'll be all right. So, anyways, come join us live for the Computer Repair Podcast every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern over at podnutz.com/Computer Repair Podcast Live. Join in on the conversation by calling in live or hanging out in the chat room. We have audio available over at podnutz.com or subscribe using your favorite podcatcher. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, Computer Repair Podcast. Send your questions and feedback, yes, that's what feeds the show, to podnutz@podnutz.com. Or you can leave a voicemail at 1-888-697-0162, and we will play that on the show. I want to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Really appreciate what you guys are doing out there. It's definitely helping pay some of the bills. You guys, too, can support the show by going to patreon.com/Computer Repair Podcast. And I want to thank everyone for listening and subscribing to the show. We'll see you next time on Podnutz, the Computer Repair Podcast. All right. We're still on the air, but good show, guys.
Very good.
Oh, let's see.
Barnes & Noble, hey, Marvin?
That was the first link I could find with the book. I was actually looking for it on the second link I have is Goodreads. That's a website where you can, it has the top recommended reading materials and whatever topic you want to look up.
Gotcha. Yeah, we were actually asked on our podcast about introducing a book and episode as well.
Nice.
To suggest.
Isn't there a podcast that's just on books?
Yes, I believe so, on the Podnutz network.
That is Book Nuts. Yes.
Yeah. So leave that. Let them introduce a book.
But that's only audiobooks, right?
Well, I don't know. I can't listen to every podcast.
I think it is, but I mean, most audiobooks
should be
obviously were written books at one point.
Right.
Or still are written books, so you can get them either way, but...
Oh, these books aren't even tech books.
Yeah, I was just checking it out right now.
What?
Count the Monte Carlo?
The last
Hey,
10.
there's some classics in there.
Old time radio shows.
Old time radio shows. Somewhere I have cassette tapes for you youngins out there that don't know what those are. Those are the little rectangle shaped things with the little 2 holes in the middle with a spool of
Similar to the VHS or Betamax.
yeah, just a little smaller. But I used to record, now not obviously the original old time radio shows, but there was a couple radio shows or a couple radio stations when I was growing up that would actually have old time radio shows like The Shadow and Abbott Costello, all that kind of stuff. And so what I would do is I would record them on tapes so I could listen back to them later. Because I found them fascinating as far as entertainment. You know, I love to listen to other people talk or put on a show or whatever. All right.
Hey, Abbott.
Sunday mornings, man, that was awesome. All right, gentlemen, I think I'm going to shut the official show down. Appreciate everybody coming out this week, and we will see everybody next Sunday at the same time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great week. Talk to you later.